What is up, YouTube? Today I'm here to show you how to craft absolutely insane axes like this one, or decent axes like this one. This is like 1300 DPS, I believe. Yep, and then this one is around 950 to 1k. This method here to craft these axes that are like around 950 to 1050 DPS are only going to cost you like 4 or 5, maybe 6 div in order to craft. And you can do it quite reliably and quite easily. This one is going to be probably close to like 20 something div to craft, and it takes a little bit more time and it's a lot more inconsistent, but it is still probably one of the best ways to craft Giga axes in the game. So if you want to craft it for yourself or for profit craft, either way, this is going to be the cheapest way to get high DPS Fizz axes. Okay, so the first strategy is going to be by far the simplest and also the cheapest, but the margins are going to be a lot smaller. And this is probably something that I just recommend if you want to profit craft something very, very cheaply and very, very quickly. And that is going to be starting off with a fractured flat fizz axe. Now this costs like 1 div, maybe 2 div maximum on trade right now. And it has to be eye level 83 or higher so that you can roll the maximum mods for the percentage fizzes. All we're going to do is we're going to use Essence of Zeal. I was buying them for 3.1 earlier to 1. So 100 rolls of this is only going to cost you like 2 div. The base itself only costs like 1 div. And if you look here, all we really care about is getting tier 4 percentage hybrid fizz or above, and doing that with a fractured tier 1 fizz. It'll only cost us 110 zeals in order to get there. Okay. That means that we need to spend 2 div on average in order to get either tier 4 or higher percentage hybrid fizz on this axe. That means for a grand total of 3 div, we are going to be getting an axe that has tier 1 flat fizz, tier 4 or higher percentage fizz, and then we can craft on top of it this percentage fizz, which has the equivalent of a max roll of tier 4 or like a min roll of tier 3. The reason why we need specifically percentage hybrid fizz is because there's no way you can craft on hybrid fizz. Like this is the only fizz roll you can craft on that's percentage fizz. It's solo percentage fizz. You cannot craft on hybrid percentage fizz, which is why we're specifically looking for hybrid fizz. I'll show you what the results are going to look like after I finish this up. I'll be back in like 5 minutes when I'm done. Awesome. So I think settling on tier 4 is totally acceptable. This is a profit craft after all. So we are going to just sell them if we hit them. What we then do here is just add on percentage fizz. So we're going to want a decent roll. I think 123 is like not the worst thing ever. So if you look here, 950 DPS with the Vol Axe, it's going to be selling for around 5 or 6 div. And this is worst case scenario, right? This is if you hit tier 4 hybrid fizz. If you hit tier 3, it's going to be worth probably like 8 or 9. And if you hit tier 2, it's going to be worth like 10, 11, that kind of stuff. At least that's what I was selling it for over the course of yesterday. I probably sold like 3 or 4 of these axes, but that's just like the cheapest, most easiest, simplest way to craft around a 950 to 1k DPS axe. Okay, moving on to what I consider to be the best way to craft axes is going to be through Recombing to guarantee us 3, not perfect, but like tier 1, tier 2 prefixes on an axe. And then we are going to do some meta mod shenanigans to then guarantee attack speed. And then we're going to want to add a warlord mod through a warlord slam. And then we are going to want to just craft on through the crafting bench, something like increased damage from endurance charges. It's all pretty deterministic. It just takes a decent amount of time to do it. So how we do it is simple, okay? There's 2 options. Number 1, you can just go on trade and buy bases. Like this guy is selling a tier 1 fizz base for 3 chaos. That's a yoink. This guy's selling tier 2 percentage fizz on trade for 4 chaos. That's also a yoink. So you can buy these bases, and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to buy tier 2 percentage fizz or tier 2 hybrid fizz or above, and then it has to be tier 1 flat fizz, okay? And you're going to want to recom these stats together. However, the problem is that a lot of times these rolls end up getting very expensive and they have to be isolated. So usually it's going to be on a blue base through alt spamming, but you can also find, like I just did, isolated prefixes that are just the mods that we want. And as you kind of filter for just like the solo mod here, which you do by just adding a set number of prefix modifiers to 1, you're going to see that a lot of the times it's going to be kind of expensive. So this guy's selling it for 15C, but will he respond? Probably not. This guy, it's starting to get to 40x. Then it's going to get to like 1 div, right? This is generally how much it's going to cost for you to buy tier 2. Tier 1 will probably be like 2 or 3 div. It's very, very expensive to buy these. And as a result, what I recommend that you do instead is not buy them, but make them yourself. So the way you make these is actually very simple. I have a video on it, which I can, of course, link into the description below. But the TLDR of it is that due to the weightings for the axes, if you use 2000 alterations, these are the results that you're going to get. You are going to get 1 tier 1 percentage fizz, 2 tier 2 percentage fizzes, and then 1 tier 1 hybrid percentage fizz, 2 tier 2 hybrid percentage fizzes, and then 8 tier 1 flat fizzes. You can easily do 10,000 alterations in an hour. So what ends up happening is you end up saving a fuck ton of money alt spamming it by yourself instead of just buying it from other people, unless you can snipe it for cheap. But the beauty of it is that if you alt spam your own bases, what you can then do is you can buy 26% quality bases for like 2 chaos each. They're so fucking cheap right now. I actually don't understand how they're this cheap, because if you alt spam your own bases with 26% quality axes, you are going to be able to create some of the most giga axes in the game, because you are essentially getting a free like 4% increase of DPS on your axe just by using a 26% quality base over a 20% quality base, okay? And again, these are so cheap. If you're going to alt spam them anyways, why not just pay like an extra 2 chaos or like 3 or 4 chaos in order to get like a 26% quality base? And even if you don't want to spend an extra 2 chaos, go 24% quality, and they're actually 2 exalts, or they're 2 chaos each. It's so cheap. Just please, if you're going to alt spam your bases, use an exceptional quality base. And the only requirement for the base is that it's exceptional quality, and then also it's eye level 83. And the eye level 83 is just because eye level 83 is the requirement in order to hit tier 1 percentage fizz and tier 1 hybrid percentage fizz. That's it. So what you're going to do is you're just going to buy up all these bases, and then you're going to alt spam them yourself, or you can buy non-alt spam bases for really cheap, like if they're like 50 chaos each, something like that, and then you're going to recom them, which I'm going to show you how to do next. Okay, so I'll say this. For the 27, 28% quality axes, if they're not already split, like this one, you should go and split it. Because split beasts are like 5C each right now, which are phenomenal plagued arachnids. And you can essentially, if it's not split, you can split it in half for the cost of like 5C or 10C. So this is like 40C. We should just split this shit, and then, you know, we have 2 axes as a result. Right. It's just very economical, especially if you're going to need a lot of these bases, which we definitely will. So boom, we split it, and now it's just 2 axes. That's all splitting really is, and it's very, very cheap to do. Awesome. So how do we alt spam them? One way you can do it is you can just do it the traditional way of just like you click and then you look, or this is fizz, let's take a look, it's not good, blah, 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 blah. This is not the right way though. Instead, what I recommend that you do is you set up a regex, okay? So we'll take a regex like this. We can do tier 2 hybrid fizz, tier 2 percentage hybrid fizz as well, and then tier 1 flat fizz. So the reason why we do these at tier 2 is because these are very, very low weightings. These are like 25 for this one and then 50 for this one. And this is 200 weighting. So we're going to see a lot of tier 1 fizzes. We don't even care about tier 2 fizzes because we're going to see like 5 times as many tier 1 flat fizzes as we are going to see of these other 2 stats, okay? So we get a regex like this, we copy and paste it, we put it into our stash, right? And then now what we do is we don't look at the rolls at all. We just go alt, 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 right? And we just spam it like this, and we wait for something to light up. If it doesn't light up, it's a shit stat. And boom, we hit tier 1 hybrid fizz. This is fucking amazing, okay? But that's pretty much how you alt spam these. Let me finish the rest of these bases, and then I'll be back to show you what we actually do with the recoms and how they work. So we finished alt spamming all the axes. This took like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and we finished with 25 axes. Like I said, it really does not take that long at all with the regex. It's just kind of like tedious to do, but it's incredibly profitable to do it this way if you spam your own. For this example, I'm just going to be using exceptional quality axes for this craft, but I also know how much it costs to do it on non-exceptional and how much the exact prices are going to be for the results. I've sold many. I did one earlier on a non-exceptional and this sold for like 24 div almost instantly. Let's finally get into the actual recomming. If you recom this axe with this axe, right, it is going to be 153k dust. That is kind of expensive. So instead what we're going to do is we are going to add min roll strength onto both of these axes. In fact, we're going to do that on all of our axes that have open suffixes. And as you will see now, before it was 150k, now it is going to be 33k. So it's actually a pretty significant reduction in the cost of the recom just by adding on these shitter tier suffixes onto the axe. It'll generally reduce it by a pretty significant margin. This was like an 80% reduction. Usually it's only like half, but still, this is a great way to reduce the cost of the dust that you're going to be using for these recoms. Anyways, it's just going to be recomming 1-to-1. So one prefix to one prefix. They have to be isolated prefixes. They don't have to be magic bases, but they can be rare, but it has to be one prefix maximum. And these are the prefixes, right? So you just recom them 1-1 like this. It's a 1 and 3 in order to hit. And we're just going to keep doing this. Okay, we hit on our first one. We might be on the streamer client, but this is all we're going to do. We're just going to recom these axes 1-1 with each other. We missed. And if you notice, because the weighting for flat fizz is way, way higher than the weighting for hybrid and percentage fizz, when you recom only one mod, the odds that it's going to be flat fizz is going to be way higher. Probably like 3 or 4 out of 5 is going to be flat fizz. So you're going to be losing your expensive base a lot of the time when you miss, but that's just something to consider. One thing that's really important is that because flat fizz is the cheapest one, we are going to want to use that in every single recombination. So it's going to be flat fizz with percentage hybrid fizz, tier 2 or above, or flat fizz with just solo percentage fizz, tier 2 or above. So at the end of all those recoms, I think we had like 15 bases in total. We have these 4 bases, okay? These bases are just tier 2 or tier 1 percentage or hybrid fizz with tier 1 flat fizz, okay? I think we have 2 of each of percentage and hybrid. Yes, we do. And these are all on 27% quality bases or higher. And now we're just going to repeat that step one more time. We recom 2x2 hybrid percentage fizz on one side, and then solo percentage fizz on the other side with flat fizz on both tier 1, okay? This again is a 1 in 3 to hit. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that we recombine and we hit a 3 prefix mod axe, okay? And then a 50% chance we hit a 2 mod, which is essentially means we keep 1 base, lose 1 base, and then a 1 in 9 chance essentially get a 1 mod back, which means we brick both bases. Please God, let this happen. Thank you fucking Lord. Okay, we have one here. Can we go 2 for 2? Like a fucking beast. We did not. But we were able to save this base, so it's not the worst thing ever. I'm not sure exactly what the math is, but I think we started off with like 15 or 20. I think we were expected to get like 1.5 to 2, but like we got a little bit unlucky here. Whatever. We are still very, very happy with our end result. And all we want to do now is we have 2 options. Both options, they start with this. They start with us going prefix can't be changed, and then we come over here to the Horticraft station, and we have 2 options here. Either we re-roll speed, and there's a 1 in 12 chance that we fill, or we add remove speed, and there's a 0% chance that we fill. But this costs around 8.5, 9 div per roll. This costs only 2. Out of 8 speed rolls, I think we're happy with the top 3. So we accept tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. So that means we have a 3 in 8 chance of hitting, which is a little bit less than a 1 in 2. On average, it'll take us 2.5 rolls to hit, and this has a 1 in 12 chance of bricking. I say for the most part, what you guys are going to want to do, if you're not doing incredibly high quality Val axes that don't have like triple tier 1 prefixes, like this one is pretty much there, I would say this one you would probably want to add remove. But for you guys, if you're just doing 20% quality bases, 24, 25 quality bases, and you don't have triple tier 1s, or you're like tier 1, tier 2, tier 2, I would say this reforged speed is more than good enough. Here, I would say for me personally, you probably want to do add remove. And the way you do that is you need to essentially isolate all of the prefixes on their own. So you do prefix can't be changed, then you have to scour here. And then you have the prefix can't be changed again, add remove, and then keep doing that. So it costs a lot of money to do it, but I'll show you guys what you guys will probably be doing, which is just reforged speed, okay? So this is kind of unfortunate here because we hit tier 1 attack speed, but we also hit this shitter life roll. We already are at a point where we have a 1200 DPS axe. I think at this point, we're probably going to be more than happy just bench crafting on like endurance charges, right? And then calling it a day here. Okay, this is a very, very good axe, but ideally what you do is you have another suffix open, Warlord Slam, and if you Warlord Slam, almost all of the suffixes that you can hit on the Warlord Slam are good. The highest weighted one is 1500 weighting, which is a 1 in 3 essentially, to hit increased fizz. It's only like 10 to 20%, but it's still very nice. This is a really good mod. Increased attack speed if you killed recently. Weapon range, kind of meh, not bad. And then Culling Strike, very, very nice. The only thing is this is a dead roll, but it's a 1 in 21 to hit this. So pretty much 20 out of 21 of your rolls are going to hit something that will improve your mod. And all the other suffixes that are not influence mods are going to suck. So you really do want to have an open suffix here for the roll. What you can do here is there's definitely a case to be made for it. You just prefix can't be changed this, and then you can YOLO a 1 and 2, a 50-50, a null on the attack speed or the life per enemy hit. And then you just re-roll again if you don't hit. I'm pretty sure like this is a profit craft. What we're supposed to do is we're supposed to just call it a day here and just take the endurance charges. It leaves it open for someone else to do that as well. Unfortunately, we are not done with the craft. We have to do the worst part of the craft, which is using our tempering orbs on this axe. Because as of right now, it's 1220 DPS. However, if we can get the tempering orb to hit 8% fizz, or 6%, 6 and 6 is also good. Then our DPS goes from 1220 to almost 1300. These cost around half a div each, maybe a little bit more now, but I think on average, it'll take you around 8 to 10 orbs to hit one of the percentage fizzes. So it's going to cost you around like 4 or 5 div in order to hit this. As you see, it adds a pretty significant amount of DPS to the axe. So why wouldn't we go for it? And if we take a look now at the DPS for this axe, and we go to like, let's just say like 1260. So this guy right here is for sure underselling his axe. But these other guys right here are great examples of what our axe is most likely going to be worth. I would say around 60 div is totally a fair price, maybe 55, because our axe doesn't have the whatchamacallit mod. No, actually, this one doesn't either. So you see here, this one only is this high fizz because he has the Warlord mod. But if you had this DPS with the Warlord mod, you'd be able to sell it for like a 10 div premium. You guys see what I'm saying here? So it's very, very nice to have a good Warlord suffix on your axe. You'll be able to sell it for a premium. But ours should be able to sell for like 57, 58 div, no problemo. And I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. I have sold many, many very good axes. This one was just a normal quality ball axe, nothing special on it. This one was a giga axe. This one was a 1600 DPS axe. So this axe right here, like the ones that are selling for like 13, 12 div, these are the fractured fizz bases where we zeal spam them. Like this one, we hit tier 4 hybrid fizz and like kind of a medium rolled normal fizz. But if you get like tier 2, on the hybrid fizz and it's like well rolled and everything like that, then it's easily going to be worth 12, 13, 14, 15 div. These are the ones that I sold here. Let me see. There was one I sold earlier in the league that was 80 div, just the same recom strat that I just showed you right here. This one was earlier in the league. It was like the only one up that had like 1400 physical DPS, and also it had a Warlord mod. Ours does not have a Warlord mod. We won't be able to sell it for like a premium or anything like that. So 57 div. But I'm telling you guys, these things sell and they sell really quick. This axe is one that I crafted this morning. I put it up for 2 minutes and then it was insta gone. You don't need to have the 27% quality. You can do them on 20% quality axes as well, and that 100% works. But if you're gonna roll them yourself, you might as well do them on quality axes, just because the slight additional cost to buy the quality axes is offset by the potential gains you'll get on the completion of an axe like this. But anyways, yeah, that's the whole video. This is how I crafted axes over the last few days. I probably made myself like a mirror, maybe a mirror and a half, just crafting these axes. And it's really, really profitable to do. But more importantly, I think if you're trying to craft an axe for yourself, this is the way I would go about crafting it. This is how you would craft a really, really strong axe. This is exactly what I did. Anyways, that is all for the video. I hope this was helpful. And if it was, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you guys again in the next one.